Welcome, everyone. I'm your trainer from Durga Analytics, and I'm thrilled you're here for our comprehensive ESG data and sustainability course. This is a massive 500-chapter program, and we've designed it specifically to give your teams the practical data-first skills you absolutely need to manage sustainability at an enterprise scale. Today, we're starting at the most important place possible, the foundation.
So, we're kicking off Module 1, which is all about building those critical foundations. Over the next 25 chapters, we're going to cover everything from the business case and stakeholder materiality to the science of climate change, the nuts and bolts of Scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions, and the differences between global standards. But today, right now, we're in Chapter 1, and we are tackling the single most important question: what is ESG really? Getting this right from the start is absolutely crucial for everything else that follows.
You know, this quote just cuts right through all the noise. And this is really the key. Because most corporate ESG initiatives fail for one simple reason. Teams misunderstand this core truth. They treat ESG like it's a PR campaign, not the rigorous, data-driven, and, let's be clear, increasingly legally mandated discipline that it has become.
Okay, let's dive in. Here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with a really precise definition of what ESG is. Then, we'll look at how it evolved from the past. From there, we'll build a business case for why it matters so much right now, outline the kind of data architecture it requires, look at some real-world regulations, and then finally, map out what your organization's path forward looks like.
So let's start with that core definition. I think the best way to think about ESG is as the modern operating system for any 21st century business. It is not an add-on. It's not a side project. It's the underlying system that processes all the risk, performance, and opportunity data related to sustainability.
Now, on the surface, you see these three pillars: environmental, social, and governance. But this is deceptively simple. ESG is really the framework that connects things like your greenhouse gas emissions data, your water usage metrics, your employee turnover rates, and your supply chain audit results, and it plugs that information directly into your core data systems, like your ERP and your HRIS. And then, it uses that information to drive strategy and capital allocation.
To really get a handle on ESG, we have to look at how it evolved. It didn't just pop up out of nowhere. And understanding its roots is the key to grasping why it's such a demanding data architecture challenge for so many companies today.
In this slide, this really lays it all out. Think about the old model, corporate social responsibility, or CSR. That was voluntary, right? It was about philanthropy, it was PR-oriented, and usually lived in the communications department. Now compare that to modern ESG. It's often mandatory. It is completely data-driven. And it is fully integrated into the finance department because it's designed to be audited with the same rigor as your financial statements. It's a whole different ballgame.
And you can see this story play out over decades. It started with simple values-based investing, like, not investing in tobacco companies. Then came that CSR era of nice but disconnected initiatives. The 2010s, that was the real turning point. Disasters like Deepwater Horizon or Rana Plaza proved in tragic, financially devastating ways that environmental and social risks were massive financial risks. And that brings us to today, where ESG is now a regulated, auditable, and incredibly data-intensive discipline. So why has this shift accelerated so dramatically? Well, the answer lies in the powerful, just undeniable business case that has made ESG a C-suite and board-level priority. This isn't just about doing good anymore. This is about building a more resilient and profitable business for the long haul.
It really boils down to 5 core drivers. First, managing tangible financial risks, everything from climate impacts on your facilities to disruptions in your supply chain. Second, just plain old regulatory compliance. Third, unlocking operational efficiencies, like reducing energy costs. Fourth, attracting and retaining top talent, which is a huge issue for everyone. And finally, getting access to new pools of capital, like green bonds and sustainability-linked loans.
And when we actually look inside companies at their data readiness, we see a really clear pattern. Environmental data is almost always the most mature, and that's thanks to years of standardized climate frameworks. Governance is usually next. But social data, which is spread out across HR, legal, procurement, all these different systems, that is frequently the least developed, and frankly, it presents the biggest challenge for most organizations.
Now, how do companies actually implement this? Okay, the crucial point, and if you remember nothing else, remember this. It all starts with a solid data blueprint. You cannot and you should not try to measure everything. The guiding principle for what to measure is a concept called materiality. Think of it as the strategic filter for all of your data. And there are two dominant views on materiality in the world right now. The EU mandates what's called double materiality. This means you have to assess two things: your company's impact on the world and the world's sustainability impact on your financial performance. The US model, on the other hand, has traditionally focused only on that second part, financial materiality. This single distinction drives vastly different data collection strategies.
Without a clear materiality assessment, companies get totally lost in the data. They try to boil the ocean. But even when you know what to measure, the data itself is a massive hurdle. I mean, it's locked in PDFs and invoices, it lacks standard definitions, you've got huge data gaps from your suppliers, and it's not traceable for auditors. Solving these technical challenges is exactly what our later modules are all about.
Okay, let's see how this all plays out in the real world. We're going to look at the two leading regulatory models, because these aren't abstract concepts anymore. They are legal requirements with very significant consequences.
So on one hand, you have the EU's Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, or CSRD. You can think of this as the global benchmark. It's comprehensive, it covers over 50,000 companies, it mandates that double materiality we just talked about, and it requires around 1,100 distinct data points. The US model is currently more fragmented and more climate-focused, but, and this is key, it is equally strict on requiring mandatory third-party assurance of the data.
Let's make this tangible. Consider a large US retailer with thousands of stores. They were facing two huge problems. One, immense energy consumption was driving up their costs like crazy, and two, they had significant physical climate risk to their properties from extreme weather.
So what did they do? They treated this as a data problem. They installed IoT meters and automated their emissions calculations. The result? Not only did they achieve 97% accuracy for their regulatory reporting, but they also identified $150 million in annual operational savings. This is the perfect example of ESG driving direct, bottom-line value.
So what does this all mean for your organization? Here's the thing. Every company is on an ESG journey, whether they know it or not. The good news is there's a clear, established roadmap for making progress. Companies pretty much always progress through these 5 stages. It starts with just basic awareness. Then comes the foundational work, conducting that crucial materiality assessment and setting up your governance. Stage 3 is the big technical build of your data architecture. Stage 4 is all about deep integration into your business processes. And finally, Stage 5 is optimization, where you're using that data for forecasting and real-time decisions.
So, let's wrap up Chapter 1. The crucial point to take away is this: ESG is the core measurement and governance system for corporate sustainability. It has evolved from a nice-to-have philanthropic thing into a regulated, auditable, data-driven discipline that requires robust technical architecture and directly impacts your financial performance. And this brings us to the most logical next question. We get the framework now, but how do we actually apply it? In our next chapter, Chapter 2, the business case for ESG, we are going to dive deep into the methodologies and the stakeholder strategies you need to build that powerful business case and begin to answer that exact question of materiality. I will see you there.